many observers tend to foresee for the continent. Africa, it seems, can handle it. And this not only because of Africa's young population, of her climate conditions, and her physical resilience. It's also because of something that countries worldwide have noticed with astonishment about Africa in general and Ghana in particular, and that is discipline and commitment. At this point, we were hoping that Ms. Rebecca Ottmann from Siemens Foundation would join us to continue our brief introduction. Unfortunately, I see that there is some technical glitch. She is not here, not yet, but I'm sure she will come in a second. Maybe Kwang Yung, you can continue.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, as Dr. Michael Blank already mentioned, our life has changed over the last couple of months drastically, but it doesn't mean that it has to stop. So this is the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, the German delegation of Industry and Commerce, right? The Siemens Foundation, supported by GIZ, we decided to continue our efforts to support Ghana in all different areas: education, vocational training, and entrepreneurship. So we decided to continue with Educata 2020, but as already mentioned, due to the given circumstances, we just changed our approach. So that's why we are here, that's why you see a lot of cameras, that's why you see a lot of screens, and that's why we are online. This is the new reality.
Due to prevailing safety and health regulations, we want to bring together Ghanaian and international stakeholders this morning and the next 2 days of the educational sector in this hybrid system, which is still a little bit to be developed, but I think we are going to sort it out, with a lot of discussions and here face-to-face in a physical way, and as well virtual encounters. educataGhana 2020 will be one of the first major conferences and trade fairs of this kind in Ghana, with a physical on-site option while strictly adhering to social distance measures as well. So please wear your face mask whenever it is possible.
Yes, we do sense a strong desire of business, politics, and academia to come together and meet in person, with all necessary safety and health regulations in place, of course. Online meetings via Zoom, Teams, WebEx, and all the other ones are helpful and they are convenient, but they cannot substitute for a personal exchange. At least that's my and others' experiences. And this might be one of the most important messages we've learned over the last couple of months. I see Rebecca Ottmann from Siemens Foundation joining us. Rebecca, good morning to Germany. Please, could you also give us a brief update from Germany and a brief welcome to Educata?
From cold and foggy, So I really would prefer being with you and joining educataGhana. So to be honest, I have been included in your virtual session. No, it's a real session right now. So I'm not up to date when you have started, but yes, I would like to say it's
Yes, apologies for this hiccup. I think we all make experiences that have never been made before when it comes to the hybrid version of a conference, in person and virtual, so please bear with us. I'm sure we will get back, and the technical guys in the back will make sure that she will have another chance to talk to us, but maybe Kwang Yung, you might want to continue.
Yes, as it was mentioned, there is a life after Corona, after COVID-19, and actually our life is still ongoing. So by considering all the necessary measures, right, we have to follow to have a safe and healthy environment, we realize that the topic education, training, and jobs or empowerment is too important for Ghana that we just wait. So that's why we said we are here and we will still run our Educata 2020 with all the necessary requirements and all the logical hiccups like we just faced now. But please, this is our first time that we have the hybrid event, so bear with us. We'll try our best to solve it.
It is impossible to think about Ghanaian-German relations in the field of education, training, empowerment, and job creation without mentioning GIZ, German International Corporation. With more than 400 staff members, mostly Ghanaian experts, GIZ has been operative in Ghana for many years. Private sector development has become one of the focal points of GIZ recently. And particularly the new program Special Initiative on Training and Job Creation will no doubt be most important when it comes to the creation of sustainable and high-skilled jobs. A sound education on all different levels is an essential requirement to achieve this goal. GIZ is therefore a major supporter of educataGhana 2020. And Regina Bauerx, the country head of GIZ, is here today, and she can also and would also like to say a few words in regard to the opening. Regina, please.
Thank you, Michael Blank, for these nice words and the introduction. The Honorable Minister of Education, Dr. Matthew Prempeh, we have met already last week, so now I'm we have this opportunity also to already exchange some ideas about Tibet. Deputy German Ambassador to Ghana, Helge Sander, distinguished guests, our virtual participants, ladies and gentlemen, all other protocols observed. Good morning. I'm honored to be with you today for the opening of the educataGhana 2020. And for those who are here physically, I want to thank you for making time to join despite these extraordinary times of COVID-19. I'm also aware that we have many of you participating via social media. Thank you for investing your valuable time to participate as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it is both an exciting and anxious time to an institutional education institution, employers, employees, job seeker, or entrepreneur. I'm sure many of you will be wondering why I'm saying this. As we all know, the pandemic, it was already mentioned, has brought a lot of things to a standstill and has at the same time triggered a lot of creativity and innovation across the board. And this event is a good example of the latter. Today, and for the next 80 hours, educataGhana will present a platform for us to discuss the skills and capacity gaps in industry, the challenges in Ghana's educational setup, TVET, entrepreneurship, STEAM education, the effects of COVID-19 on education and businesses, among other pertinent issues. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan once said, "Education is the premise of progress. in every society and every family. Indeed, education has played a big role in the life of each of us and plays a huge part in forming our identity. Education lays the ground for the professional pathway for every child. And from a macroeconomic perspective, a skilled workforce is a prerequisite for economic growth and development. Besides improving livelihoods, the skilled workforce attracts investments into Ghana, supports the growth of domestic companies, and opens the door for new and varied opportunities for all. If Ghana is to meet the specialized and technical skill demand of international companies like Volkswagen, Bosch, or Siemens, there needs to be a shift in the current training system of technical and vocational institutions to meet international standards, and all stakeholders in the education sector must work together to contribute for this change. While there has been progress in trying to involve practical experiences through internships and apprenticeships and educational curricula, there is still often a disconnect between the needs of industry and the capacity of technical institutions to create opportunities and to create competent, job-ready graduates for employment. The revision of curricula and alignment with industry needs and the upgrading of the skills of training institutions and instructors are trained and tested approaches to ensure that students and craftsmen seeking to enhance their skills can benefit from modernized training. But not only training institutions have these challenges. On the other hand, also, industry must be prepared to engage with institutions on their needs and provide opportunities for students and tradesmen to gain on-the-job training. This is quite a big challenge, and as I said earlier, this needs a collective effort from national and international partners. Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we in GIZ are doing our part and are happy to support educataGhana in several areas to ensure stakeholders connect with the right people and job seekers and entrepreneurs are empowered. This includes the participation of some of our programs which we implement on behalf of the German government, namely the Ghanaian German Center for Jobs, which focuses on enhancing entrepreneurship competencies and supports its clients in starting up a business, thereby providing a great contribution towards availing economic alternatives for job seekers, returned migrants, and potential migrants in Ghana. At this year's Educata 2020, the GGC will be powering the virtual Ghana Job Fair, where there will be a bouquet of services to choose from and opportunities for leveraging. Another program, the Special Initiative on Training and Job Creation, is a priority initiative of the German government. The goal is to partner with the private sector to promote job-creating growth of Ghanaian and European companies in Ghana and to create an enabling environment for investment for German, European, and African companies. The initiative is thus supporting companies to overcome investment barriers, improve the business ecosystems in selected sectors and locations in Ghana, and tackle skills. At Educata, the Special Initiative on Training and Job Creation funded measure Biz for Jobs, which is implemented by AHK, is offering a platform to strengthen employers' and companies' cooperation with training institutions to boost youth employability and seeks to establish partnerships with the private sector to create training opportunities and employment. And finally, at the Program for Sustainable Economic Development, which, to give you some examples, has provided entrepreneurial skills development trainings during the last years to over 9,000 young individuals and develop policies and reformation strategies towards a more demand-driven Ghanaian TVET system. Overall, GIZ implements programs that institute measures essential to improving the livelihood of Ghanaians, especially the youth. Please stop by our booth to learn more about what we do and how we can cooperate towards building improved institutions and a skilled labor force to participate in all aspects of the value chain of industry. Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, it is my hope that at the end of educataGhana 2020, our discussions will lead us to a better understanding of the challenges and gaps in the education sector and an alignment of stakeholder interests regarding industry standards and educational curriculum, and possibly a proposed roadmap towards effective implementation of desired results to satisfy all stakeholders. Before I conclude, I would like to congratulate the AHK for bringing together all relevant sectors in this conference. The challenges are complex, and we can only be tackled by the cooperation of all stakeholders. To the youth present here and watching virtually, after almost 1 year of being in Ghana, one of the most things I admire is seeing young people show enthusiasm in striving for better opportunities. And I cannot be repeated enough. Good education, good TVET lays the grounds for your future as successful entrepreneur or a demanded skilled worker. I will encourage you to take advantage of this career fair. To you, the job seekers or budding entrepreneur listening to me, do not be shy. Talk to the experts, make your pitch, network widely, find the mentor who might help you navigate through a tough patch and connect with our fellow participants. Ultimately, the world needs your creativity, your energy, passion, and vision. And I believe that you have the talent, the skills, and the ambition not just to pursue your dreams, but to realize them. You can lift not just your own families, but your communities and country to create opportunity, prosperity, and hope for decades to come. Thank you all for your attention, and I wish us all a successful conference.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bauochse. As she mentioned, education is very, very important. And when it comes to education, particularly TVET, German companies and the German training institution have developed amazing schemes, amazing programs. And that's why it is, of course, a natural development that the topic education, TVET, is part of the political agenda between Germany and Ghana. And who else than the German embassy could elaborate more on this political agenda? And therefore, I'm very happy to welcome Mr. Helge Sander, the Deputy Ambassador of the German embassy, to talk a little bit about the political agenda.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Jung. Good morning, Honorable Minister, organizers. Thank you very much for the invitation to speak. But first of all, of course, dear participants, welcome to this event. Thank you very much for coming in challenging times. I'm not going to bore you for too long. I understand we're a bit behind schedule, so we should really kick this off with fewer speeches and more networking. I was asked to just shed a bit of light on why we see all these amazing institutions and companies here, and why are they doing that together with the Ministry of Education. If you consider that in 2017, you might have heard about it, under the German presidency of the G20, we launched a so-called Compact with Africa. What does that mean, Compact with Africa? It means that if countries in Africa reform their business framework. And one of the aspects of a business framework is, of course, the availability of highly skilled people. We, as the G20, pledge to encourage investment in African countries. And the name has already been mentioned once. For example, Volkswagen. Volkswagen has started assembling cars in Ghana, which I think is a major step for both, for the company, but also for Ghana. And when you talk to other companies who are looking at Africa, they are saying, yes, Ghana is the right place to be, but can you ensure, or can you give me an assurance that I find highly skilled workers? And that is, of course, on the one hand, where you think, okay, if you don't have companies who need high-skilled workers, why would you go through a specific training to become really, really well-skilled? While on the other hand, the companies say, well, if I don't find these people and I have to work on training them for years, that will delay my investment. But what I want is I want to create jobs in Ghana, and I want to pay people well. But of course, I also, as a company, want to profit from all the creativity that is there in Ghana. So we decided that we need to do both at the same time. We need to invest and work closely with the Ministry of Education to ramp up the TVET system. The university system in Ghana is already one of the best in all of Africa, while still we are supporting also university students with scholarships for Germany. German Academic Exchange Service is just on the other side of the podium. And with many other activities, we are, at the end of the day, what we are trying is to get Ghana, first of all, and some other African companies integrated into international value chains, so that really value addition is happening in Ghana, that of course companies sell to the Ghanaian market, but of course they also serve other markets from Ghana, so that Ghana really becomes a hub for many parts of the economy, and of course automotive is one of them. I'm very happy that not only in the sectors in the productive sectors, but also in the sectors of education, we have a lot to offer. I understand that the whole virtual delegation of companies and institutions from Germany, which offer many different things in distance learning, will be present via video link here tomorrow. So I hope it sheds a bit of light on the broader picture, why we are here, why we are doing this, and where we want to get together with our partners, the Ghanaian government. Ghana is one of our most important partners in Africa. It's definitely a partner in the value system. It's democratic, it's stable, it's peaceful. And that's why we want to work more with Ghana, and that's why we're seeing all the German institutions here, from the business sector, from the education sector, and that has to go hand in hand. I think you've heard about the German TVET system there. The exchange is very close. What do the companies need, and what do the schools need to train the students so that they can seamlessly be employed afterwards? And I think the Ministry of Education is on the same page with all of us that is where Ghana wants to get. Ghana is investing heavily in training and education, and we hope that with this event and many other events we can make a small contribution to Ghana's efforts to becoming a really industrialized country with an industrial base, with high-skilled workers and with decently paying jobs. And we are, from our side, doing what we can. Ghana government is also investing. So I believe there is a bright future. And if you today have interesting encounters, I think then we have already achieved something substantial, not only for you, but also for the relationship between Ghana and Germany, which is a relationship which is not only between the two governments, although I'm of course representing the government here, but it's also between the people, and it's between companies, and it's friendships, it's employments, it's many things. So on that note, I really hope that you make the most out of your presence here today and tomorrow, that you see what is on offer, and that it helps you, your friends and others, you spread the word that we are here for the long run, and that we are happy to foster Ghana-German relations on any level possible. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Helge Sander, Deputy Ambassador of the German Embassy. Education, educataGhana, with its focus on education, needs the support and commitment of strong political voices, and one of these, maybe the strongest one in Ghana, is sitting right next to us, Honorable Dr. Matthew Prempeh. In fact, the strongest voice in government as a minister. He did not hesitate to join educataGhana 2020. I remember even last year we had discussions. He was asking right at the beginning in 2019, we need another educata. Sorry, the Germans are sometimes a bit slow, so we only were able to organize it now. But Honorable, we can promise next year we are standing close to you, but there are still some elections to win. So thank you very much for joining us, for bringing your support with your whole ministry to this year's conference. And he has not only given very important and valuable input over the last couple of months, he is also here today in person. He takes the time, maybe as well, to campaign a little bit for himself and for the ministry and the government. And we want to officially as well welcome you, Honorable Minister, to give us some welcoming words from your end. Thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me once again. I think attending and participating in Educata is one of the pleasant things that I do. I'm among friends and colleagues who understand what this government is trying to achieve. One of the main aims of this government, one of the main drivers of this government, is to make Ghana a country where its citizens would prosper within the country. It means quickly industrializing the nation and better educating the citizens. So one of the first partnerships that His Excellency the President forged and asked me to follow up was His Excellency the German Chancellor. And one of the first travels I did as a minister was to go and study the German TVET system so that we could have an idea. The focus of government is not only to educate its citizens, but to equip them with the skills necessary for employability and for industrialization. If you look at what the government is trying to do about one district, one factory, and its general, even the automobile industry policy and its general focus on industrialization, you begin to understand why the Ministry of Education is under pressure to bring citizens who are well educated and who are also skilled. So when the organizers first contacted me, I was very much enthused to partner them and to bring the German industry and German society back home. So we had a lovely first conference, and I was looking forward towards the second one. And now, in the midst of COVID, when we have become very, very antisocial, your faith and your belief in the government and in Ghana makes you available here at this time. This is probably the first international conference we are hosting since the outcome of, or since the bad COVID came with us. And we are very, very appreciative of that. And I can assure you that the government and the people of Ghana will continually partner you, because we know where we want to get to. And where we want to get to is to follow those who are there. And those who are there are the Germans, who are the pace setters in technical, vocational education and training. We haven't stayed back. We have invested in that direction. We are investing in education, particularly in technical and vocational education. We are investing in new equipment to make it relevant to modern industry. We are investing in access by expanding the places. We are investing in the ability of the people not to stay back because of financial reasons. So even though TVET is free in the country, we are building modern classroom blocks, bringing in modern equipment. We want to partner the Germans in capacity building of the teachers so that we can get it right and we can have skilled Ghanaians involved in the labor force. It's only the skilled Ghanaian who can bring about industrialization and making the economy better for all Ghanaians. And so thank you for inviting us. We are participating, and we hope that it becomes one of the things that we all look forward to participating every year. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Honorable Minister, for your strong message. And trust me, we will do all we can do together with our partners here in Ghana in order to pursue this target and follow these achievements. Before we go on with the next formal step, that is opening a ceremony, opening a conference by ribbon cutting, which I would invite all of you, 3 dignitaries, to participate. Let me once again go back to Munich because we had some hiccups at the beginning in regards to bring in our 4th organizer, that's the Siemens Foundation. Maybe now I can see Rebecca. She's still smiling, fortunately enough. And Rebecca, maybe just because you were cut off, maybe you can finish what you wanted to say in regards to the educataGhana. And I hope now we can even hear you because we had some problems with the tone as well. Let's see.
Thank you so much, Michael. And you know, I'm laughing because with my heart, I'm with you in Ghana, I'm in Africa. And I'm really so sorry for not joining you. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for all your speeches and for focusing on TVET. So our intention, the Siemens Stiftung intention as well, is to empower teachers to give great science lesson so that you can build on the foundation phase for skilled learners. We are very happy to contribute to Educata 2020 once again because the maiden exhibition in 2018 has been such a great success, and we would love to continue and to empower the teacher to give TVET lessons. And we want to promote science as a school subject and to improve vocational orientation for learners and to improve the perception and the recognition of TVET, because we think vocational orientation, vocational training, TVET training is a foundation for the welfare of a country, for the welfare of Ghana. And I'm very happy to contribute with our Ghanaian team. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to speak once again. And I'd like to hand over to Michael. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thank you very much. I know you would have loved to join in as well. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but next time, I'm sure you will be here again. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the opening session, but an opening session is not an opening session without ribbon cutting and maybe a brief tour around the exhibition. So, Honorable Minister Regina Helge, may I ask you to follow me? I would like to ribbon cut and then have a little brief tour, whereas my colleagues will set up the stage for the next event. Once again, educataGhana 2020 is open. Thank you very much, and I hope we have 2 exciting days.
Get some small, then I am I just say you pull this thing, I know go affect here.
found our position on the Alex, you didn't get me. Alan check, what am I check? Yeah, because okay, really. What percentage yes you? Okay, then I was maintaining my and I know now in it. Just frame one shot and put this. Oh, what position was it? Yeah, no, discussion after you. Yeah, more about it.
Second assessment.
What does it mean?
No, it will be this side. It will be that side. The shadow side. I'm pretty old enough. Maybe. Okay. Somebody in shadow. Okay. Bro.
Why do you want to check it? When are you in check it? Who have become known as check it? When are you in? Still a 3 part.
Sorry. This is Dr. Blank from the German Chamber of Commerce. So please come upstairs. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the educataGhana 2020. And I would like to welcome you to our first panel discussions with representatives of 4 political parties. And dear honorables, dear General Secretary, most welcome here to our panel. We are going to have 1 hour time. And I would like to welcome, first of all, Madame Brigitte Zobenuku. Hopefully I spelled it more or less right. The flag bearer of PPP. Then Mr. Ivor Greenstreet, the flag bearer of CPP. The Honorable Minister, whom I've already welcomed before. Dr. Matthew Pramper, Minister of the Educational Ministry, and last but not least, representing the flag bearer of NDP, Madame Konadu Rawdings, Mr. Alhaji Frimpong. Thank you very much for joining us. We are in an important year, 2020. General and parliamentary elections are going to be held by His Grace on the 7th of December. And I know that your time schedule is very busy. So because of that, I'm most grateful that you were able to join us this morning, and maybe as well you can see the media here. Welcome to the media representatives as well, to spell out a little bit about your campaign messages. The context, the topic of this morning session is unemployment in Ghana, the challenge for our current educational setup. What do we would like to discuss about this morning? Discussing with enterprises in Ghana, we always can hear again and again that there seems to be a gap between the labor market and the skills of graduates from universities or as well the secondary schools. And what is the reason for that, and what could the educational system do in order to close that gap? This is one question I would like you to answer. And the second one is certainly as well to speak a little bit about your campaign manifestos from your political parties. What are you going to plan to do in the next 4 years when you are elected the 7th of December into government? So once again, thank you very much. Let me start with a personal example from Germany, because speaking about these challenges for education is not only a Ghanaian problem, it's a worldwide problem. Taking my own example, I studied some years ago political science in Germany. And now, being resident representative of Konrad Adenauer Foundation, especially at the beginning of my career, I have discovered that studying at the university does not necessarily mean that I'm fully equipped with the necessary skills to fulfill my job appropriately. There is a gap as well in German universities, studying a lot of theory and then entering into the job market and finally not being able immediately to fully integrate yourself and fully or perfectly perform in your job. So it is rather a global challenge, and let us always keep that in mind. It is not only about Ghana here. The setup for this morning, I would like to invite our 4 speakers on the panel here to give a very short introduction of themselves, and then certainly speak about this gap between labor market and the educational system, and then maybe as well about your campaign ideas for 2020 and beyond. I would like to start then with our lady here. I learned early at home from my parents, ladies first, so I think we should also maintain that. And after some 5, 6, 7 minutes, I will be a little bit cruel and I will cut you, so sorry for that already. Then I would like to ask the audience as well, who is here in our hall, to ask some questions that we can enter into a discussion. We have already got to know each other. These are senior people here. We don't have to fear that anybody is going to insult. So I will not incite either. Let us have a very wonderful discussion, starting with Honorable Madame Bridget, and then I think we will move around if the governmental party is not against that. Honorable. Okay. Thank you very much. Once again, welcome. Perhaps we can give a small applause for our 4 panelists, and then we will start with Madame Bridget.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, my fellow panelists and partners in Ghana's governance, and especially in the education sector. I'd like to start with the question you asked about how come we can't get an alignment with post-tertiary education and the job market. And it's exactly how you put it from what you got from Germany. I think that the emphasis has been a lot on the qualification and not on the knowledge. So we have in the past thought about people graduating and having a degree or post-degree without, or postgraduate degree, without actually thinking about what they want to do with it in the long term or for jobs. What hasn't happened a lot is that students have not been made to align themselves with the job market in forms of internships, for example. And I think that the University of Ghana at some point had these work days that some people would go in the form of a mentoring relationship to go and talk to the students on the campus. We haven't had that for a long time. What is needed is that mentoring, and I have been in the mentoring field as well, where you have young ladies who are paired with experienced women in industries, a women's program, experienced women in the industries to be mentored by them. Some institutions or companies have gone, such as the banks, and had career days with the universities to let them know. But I think also, it's not necessarily the university. Tertiary education should go beyond that. Tertiary education should go technical. Tertiary education should be vocational. And the vocational and technical education also has been made to feel like it's deficient. So we seem to think that suddenly, if we slap the title university on tertiary education or on technical and vocational education, that must be the answer. But I believe that it is the training that goes into these things, the level of training, and in fact, the substance of the training. That should change it. If we are going to call the tertiary the vocational and technical education universities and not equip them sufficiently with the equipment they need for the learning and for the education, it still comes to the same thing. So if it's not, we must take it beyond the qualification, beyond the title, beyond just the people passing through the institution, and actually invest in the substance of this level of education. And then we will have the alignment, because I have had the experience where working in a fitness and recreational facility, gone to a facility like Winneba, University of Winneba, to try and get some of those being trained as teachers in physical education to work for us. And what happened then was we went there and they didn't have a simple gym. So there was not that alignment. They are only being trained to be turned out eventually just as teachers. And they won't ever have to see a treadmill or see anything that actually relates in modern technology to what they do. So we must quickly and rapidly fast forward that side of our education, where the schools are sufficiently equipped. That is what we always said about with the PPP. The schools must be, the educational facilities must be sufficiently equipped, not only with books and the training, but also with the machinery and equipment, so that the learning can be practicalized rather than it just being left on the level of qualification. Now, your other question came to what our manifesto, our policy statement is about education. We talk about free, compulsory, universal basic education, which is a requirement. Every child in Ghana is supposed to experience free, compulsory, universal basic education. Unfortunately, we don't enforce the compulsory. We still have over 2 million children on our streets who are not in school. And they are not in school because just the fact that it is not enforced. And we say with the PPP, we will enforce the compulsory. And how do we enforce that? One, we will have police on the streets. You know, police, educational police. Not to beat them up, but to ensure that they are back in school. I'm sure when this is run a few times, children start to realize there comes the policeman, I must be in school. And secondly, we must make the education interesting for the children to stay there. So, you know, making it compulsory and making the schools completely equipped. Again, we have schools where we only have a 6 classroom block. You have no sports facilities. You have nowhere to feed them. You don't have appropriate toilets for them. And if you want the children to stay in school, it must be made comfortable for them. It must be complete education from SHS, from kindergarten, all the way through to free SHS. And yes, everything must be free, every level must be free, every level must be made compulsory. I will add that a basic qualification for work, or a basic qualification to be a driver in Ghana, just a driver, the basic qualification is a BEC. And if we have that qualification and we are failing a lot of people at that level, failing them through the BEC, and yet saying a driver must have BEC, just imagine how many people without qualifications are on our streets. I have 1 minute to go. So yes, we insist that education at that level, all the way through to SHS, must be free and compulsory. We also say that we must ensure, and some people say, we have advocated that BEC must be abolished. And people say, well, how then do you test the students? We say standardize the education and actually put the inspectors to work. We find that the school inspectors are not working, are not ensuring that standards are kept. And therefore, in the past, when I was in a public school and I moved from Accra to Takoradi, I was sure to just settle into the next grade that I was meant to be in. That doesn't happen now. If you go from a town to another town in another part of Ghana, you are not assured that you will have the same level of education because it hasn't been standardized across the board and it hasn't been made, the inspectors haven't done their work. So we must ensure also that the inspectors do their work. That is another thing. Now, the World Bank did a survey that said that most of Ghanaian children, by the year 6, could not read or write. We are letting these children go through to year 6, age 12 about, where they can't read or write. And then after 3 years, we are expecting them to pass the basic education certificate examination. How is that possible when the people can't write at age 6? So we must invest in that basic education by investing in the teachers. The teachers must be in school. The teachers must also be made responsible. So teacher training, yes, it's important. And it's not only important in the fact that we are giving them allowances. Allowances, yes, may lure some people into the teaching profession, but when they are done, they do not continue with the teaching. We must actually make them comfortable, give them housing so that when you post them to the various schools, wherever it is, whether it's in Laura or Tumu, the teacher is interested in staying because he has been motivated in a way that he wants to stay and teach these kids. So that by year 6, they can't even read or write. There's a lot more, but I only have 5 minutes.
I'm really sorry. I know 7 minutes for education is not enough, yeah, but it is only a beginning. Thank you very much, Honorable. A warm applause as well from the audience, please. And we will have hopefully some minutes more later on as well to go a little bit deeper. Honorable Greenstreet, thank you very much as well for joining us. The floor is yours. Once again, a little bit describing this gap. What are the reasons? What are the backgrounds for that? What do you think could be some solutions to provide better skilled people for the labor market, but as well in the best interest for young people to find jobs? And then as well, what about the campaign messages for 2020 and beyond of your political party? Thank you.
Good morning. It is a pleasure to be here as part of this important program, and I'm particularly happy to see my good friend and brother, the Minister for Education, who I think is part of a ministry that is performing a very important role, which has sown the seed of free SHS, a very important seed which I believe successive generations will witness the importance of that foundation. And it is also interesting that Mr. Hellman, when he introduced himself as a political scientist. And as we are here, we are all politicians. And therefore, if it is about politics, it is about ideas, and it is about leadership. And it is those ideas and it's those leadership qualities that determine the direction of a nation. And Mr. Brookhart himself will know that in the past, when they studied economics, it was not called economics. It was called political economy, because it is the politics which controls the economy, not the other way around. And it is decisions of politicians and governments which determine the direction of a nation and the capacity of that nation to generate a human right, and that human right is the ability to be able to go to work and not be unemployed or underemployed. And I think if we look at the success of Germany in this particular area and the way they have been able to construct their educational system, which does not exist as its own ecosystem, but exists directly in collaboration with their working atmosphere and ecosystem, that demonstrates to you why over the years they have had less difficulty with employment or lack of employment. And actually the capacity of their skilled apprentice system to be able to generate right from school the necessary skills of their population to seamlessly fit into the workplace and therefore satisfy their needs and the needs of a nation. You will notice that our brothers on the other side of the political divide, the New Patriotic Party, have not always believed in free education. It is something that they have been converted to in the last few years or so. I think it was first appeared in their manifesto, I believe sometime in 2008. I know my senior brother will have something to say about that. The important thing, it is about how you utilize the collective wealth of the nation for the collective benefit of its people, and how we are going to then determine how much of our scarce resources are we going to utilize for education, how much are we going to utilize for the provision of skills, and how is the state going to intervene in that sector to ensure that it achieves the vision and the strategy it wants to accomplish to make sure its citizens are fully employed. When you look at how this place is even set up today, you may think that perhaps you were in Berlin or maybe Stuttgart or one of these areas where they have a direct focus on how these linkages are going to take place between the marketplace and those who are being educated. When you look at the recent World Bank report, it talks about us having now unemployment of about 12% and underemployment of over 50%. It talks about the importance which the Convention People's Party has accepted of utilization of disaggregated data to determine how old those people are who are unemployed or underemployed, what their location is, what their gender is, what their skills are, what their capacity is, so that the state, because actually where we find ourselves, it is only the state that can extricate ourselves in collaboration with a detailed plan with the private sector that can take us out of this situation that we find ourselves in, because it is also a national security situation, and we must ensure that there is a detailed plan agreed upon by all how we are going to identify the sectors in Ghana where we have the comparative advantages as a nation that can take us out of the problems that we find ourselves. Once again, I want to ask my good friend and brother to maybe also explain something, because it is out of mistakes that we learn the most. When he was also a minister in the previous government under a very nice gentleman, His Excellency, the former president, John Agyekum Kufuor, you will notice at that time they launched something called President's Special Initiatives under a so-called golden age of business. At a point in time, his good friend and colleague introduced something called the attempt to produce industrial starch out of cassava at a factory in Bojuasi, I think Ayensu starch factory or something. Now, I would be interested, not from a form of criticism, but I would be interested to understand why did it fail, or did it fail? Because we don't hear about it. Because clearly there was going to be significant linkages there between people who were educated, people who had specific skills, right from the matrix of farmers to people who will then be producing the things that come out of cassava. And cassava produces many things, many chemicals that could have led to other industries. So therefore, they had done that on the basis of assessment of to what level of employment and impact that could have had on our educational system. In a similar way, I have 1 minute left. So for me, these are the important things we have to assess as a state. These are the things which lead into our national development plan. The Convention People's Party is a socialist party. So therefore, we believe that we have to use the collective wealth of the nation for the collective benefit of the people. We support free secondary education, but we believe education should be free not just at the secondary level, but from kindergarten to tertiary. Of late, they've also been talking about assistance in the tertiary area, and I think I've heard some of their ministers talk about the importance of a higher level of tertiary education in order to have an impact in the society in terms of skills and employment that we are talking about. So I'm very happy to engage in this discussion of ideas. I'm happy our host is a political scientist and he understands the importance of politics controlling the economy and being the driver of decisions. And I'm happy to be in this very German environment, because Germany has many lessons that I think we can learn and utilize, which will assist us as a nation. And so I'm very grateful to be here and for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I think we can end now, because with this wonderful lauding speech about Germany, we are feeling so well, particularly me. But no, we are going to continue. We have two other representatives of two political parties. If we were now in the States, then we certainly would have discussed before who is going to speak first and who is positioning himself or herself at that moment. We are just turning around. I think it is the easiest way. So NDP at the end, and now it is, the floor is to the Honorable Minister, Dr. Premre.
Thank you for inviting us. I think I would like to stay with the topic, whether the structure of educational system promotes employability and employment. I would start by saying that our structure of education is not very different from many other countries. So it is not the structure of education, it's the quality of education and the level of skilled training that will lead to whether your outputs from tertiary or secondary education would get employment in the industry in your country. The other thing that we all have to accept is that when you have no industry, and we can say probably from the 70s to now, we haven't had that many industries. When you have no industry, you cannot necessarily link your educational output to your industry. So I would want to say that what we are trying to do is not because my party was not interested in secondary or free education, and because your party was not interested in private sector, and now you are talking about private sector. It leads us nowhere. Now the youth of the country want employment. Want employment that is real, not half-baked jobs. And we have to re-engineer the whole society so that the economy can grow. So what we are trying to do is to re-engineer education to serve the needs of the country. No political gimmicks. I don't believe in political gimmicks. When learning outcomes are so bad that less than 40% of your students will pass mathematics examination, when only 2% of your primary 2 people can read and write English at that level, when, as my sister said, even primary 6 people probably cannot read and write, we all have to band it together and solve the issue in education. That is why this current president believes that if we even have to put all our oil wealth in education and skill training, it will generally be better for the economy and the country in the longer run than what we are doing. If all these German companies come to this country to put up factories, they will need people who are well skilled to enter into those factories. You don't expect a German company to come and put a factory in Ghana and go and bring expatriates to come and work it. It just doesn't work that way. So let us all free ourselves from the politics of it and all decide that let us invest in better education, meaning better educational outcomes. If the child can read and write by primary 3, the capacity for self-sustained learning is embedded. But if the child goes to school for 12 years and wastes practically 6 years for nothing, then there's a problem in the country. And that problem will be seen everywhere. That 12-year-old or 15-year-old who has a BEC certificate, the loss of the country does not even allow him to be employed or even self-employed. Why are we going to fight about BEC? So even if you get all the best grades in BEC and you cannot continue, it is worthless in a society well governed because you are not allowed to be employed. So our education should not end at a 15-year-old. It should at least end at the 18-year-old, where that person can be better skilled or can be better educated than before. When you put a child, when I went to school, our exit exams was at 12 years, common entrance. Look at the number of people who could not pass to secondary school, either because of money or because of academic competence, and were left aside. When we moved in from 12 years to 15 years, we were just moving the needle in a delayed stage. So let us sit down and say, what do we need? We need an education that is not only emphasizing the 4 R's, reading, arithmetic, writing, creativity. We need education that brings in the soft skills, collaboration, team building, partnership, problem solving. We need that. If we need that, what do we have to do? We have to change the curriculum. We have to invest more in education. We have to change the teacher education and the teacher curriculum to fit the curriculum that we all observe. So that is what the government has been trying to do. The flagship program of free secondary school is both in our Constitution of the Republic. that we should have progressively free education. But we felt that the time was now. The time was now because, interestingly, Ivor didn't say it, but interestingly, those who preached against free secondary education were the same people who were co-chairs of SDG. And the SDG is saying that we should all have a right to secondary education by the year 2030. And you are the co-chair, and when somebody says, I'm going to bring free secondary education, you say it is not doable. As if sitting as a co-chair, you don't know your responsibilities. What the president did was to ensure that funding was available. And that is what Ivor emphasizes on leadership. We will never get to where we want to get to without the right leadership. It is not even about even the curriculum. It's about the leadership. The leadership determines everything. If your father sits at home and earns 100 cedis and spends 90 cedis on alcohol, you get nowhere. The other father who spends 90 on the child's health and education will get a better outcome of the children than the one who spends 90 cedis on alcohol. That is leadership. So the choices we make have a huge implication on where we want to get to as a country. I would say that we have set the path, even though it's been very, very difficult. We haven't gotten everything right, but I think we are on the right trajectory that with sustained implementation of what we are trying to achieve, Ghana will definitely get to where it wants to go. A nation of reading, a nation of learning, a nation of skilled workers for the betterment of its own self. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Now our last panelist from the NDP, Mr. Frimpong, General Secretary, representing the flag bearer, Madame Conado Rawlings, former First Lady.
Thank you very much. Good morning once again. I bring you greetings from the flag bearer of the NDP. She was very much determined to be part of this discussion, but unfortunately, circumstances beyond her control could not make it. But I had to come in to stand in for her at the last minute. The NDP has education-themed education for national survival, in the sense that you need a stable background, stable governance or leadership for that matter, in order to educate the youth. So more importantly, the question in the first place is a very tricky one. Education at no moment could be considered as a one-station, consideration. It is a continuous flow. And for that matter, if you want to seriously look at education, we are looking at it from the background of even at the primary level, and that would need that, or would require a very serious civic orientation. In the first place, you must inculcate in the youth at least a sense of nationalism, the goals of a country, so that at least they grow with some kind of mindset. The mindset is very, very important. So we are looking at it in the sense that, unfortunately, like I've said, it is not a one-station consideration. In the continuum, we don't have sufficient civic education. And that is probably the reason why, when we're talking about leadership, if leadership does not shepherd the youth into, let's say, a national mindset, you could have your education being shortchanged in terms of orientation of the youth that you want to lead into a national goal. Another way of looking at it, if you're talking about career counseling, we don't think that Ghana has done badly at all. We have not done badly. And given our constitution, which is hybrid, I don't even want to talk about ideology. It is very clear that given our usual political divide, the liberal democracy and the so-called progressive democracy are converging on the point of free education today, which we all are, then there's no point at all even looking at it in terms of ideology. But we are looking at it in the structure how we organize society. we in the NDP believes in shared leadership. All what we're saying is that it is not sufficient for the executive to sit where it is, to direct, how probably education orientation should go as far as our trainees. More importantly, if we are talking about the job market, first of all, must have at least a rollout in the communities. I mean, apart from our industries, that might probably be in certain isolated areas, in urban areas. Most of what we roll out as government, if you take Agric for instance, we'll be talking about the rural areas. If you talk about other probably skill training, you don't have to only rely on people in the urban areas. We will also be talking about the rural areas. So our concentration, apart from leadership, we're looking at shared leadership, that will at least ensure that communities more particularly, get very much interested in how job creation, comes about, so that at least in every community, every graduate or whatever will have a connection to a community. So we believe in shared leadership, so that the role of the executive will be very much simplified. The executive cannot be omnipresent and know it all. So that is why we have the provision of decentralization. Decentralization is so effective in the area that at least we reorient our youth into making sure that at least they can either create their own jobs, in the so-called entrepreneurship incubation centers. The emphasis must be in the communities. If you take the MPP government planting for food and jobs, for instance, definitely it is not in Accra alone. So what we are saying is that what skill training can go, into that one, or what skill training can be connected to this area, and we will not just concentrate on if somebody has gone to, let's say, study sociology and probably psychology, the person could be reoriented into an area such as that. And it is in these areas that we need probably some kind of refinement of graduates or any other, let's say, educated person. It continues as part of the lifelong education. So if you were to read history and you were roaming in Accra and you were not finding a job, government policies and rollout should indicate to you that if I went to maybe Kodiabe, some project that might be going on, I can at least instantly take some kind of skill orientation and be part of, benefit from that, let's say, government policy. That's how we're going to look at it. Immediately, you cannot sit down and say that for all those who are trained now should find job. It's virtually impossible. But at least we have a policy that at least skill training, I think we are all agreed on the idea of skill training. We started touting that since 2016. If you look at places like Switzerland and the rest, they have what you call apprentissage. Simply, it is apprenticeship, this skill training. I think going into the 2020 elections, virtually everybody is shouting, skill training and so on and so forth. We are all agreed on that because the time has come, that if you want to learn, let's say, what you call the pure arts and the humanities, and then you were not finding job, the atmosphere that must be created is that there must be a way of reorientation. And that reorientation, that is why we want to lay the emphasis in what we call, at least, community shared leadership. And we have created structures that we call Community Organization Bureau. The bureau should help every individual, who really wants some kind of training or orientation in a particular rollout that the government may have announced all over the place. You'll be surprised that some time ago somebody was asking me, but this planting for food and jobs, how can I be connected? such information, for instance, must be available to everybody in the communities where they live. And it's as simple as that. Fortunately, we operate a national constitution that I call hybrid. So these days, there might not even be the need for anybody calling themselves that they are socialist or even a liberal democrat. As a matter of fact, we are looking at Ghana. And for us in the National Democratic Party, that is how we want to look at it. And more particularly, we also want to tap on the knowledge of retirees. There will be a lot of retirees, rather unfortunately, people who 60-year-olds who are now maturing, in their areas of profession, will be going on retirement, and they might go into the communities to throw their hands in the air. We are saying that they are going to start another lease of life altogether in the community, because those who have the requisite skills will make them available to people who might be tapping into their skills in terms of job creation and so on and so forth. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The applause got a little bit louder, I think. Thank you. So thanks for the first round. I'm not going to comment on what you have said, because we have an audience here, I think experts as well in the educational sector, and they might be very interested, because not everybody is sure yet for which party to go. So this is time as well to ask questions to the four representatives, and I would just like to invite all of you to raise your hand in case that you have a question, to direct yourself to one or two of our panelists, and then ask briefly a question. Not too long comments, otherwise we will not end till tomorrow. So is there anybody who would like to start? Over there, wonderful. The microphone is coming. Please, your name and then your question.
My name is Olapa Nasinjo, and I have a question for our Minister for Education. Not only him, but the political representatives. And my question is this. In Ghana, when you finish school and you are even into business, people think that they are not working unless they get government work. The moment they get government work, then they think they are working. I want to find out from our political leaders, is this a problem of our culture, or it is because of how politicians have been telling us, we'll create jobs, we'll create jobs, we'll create jobs. And people think that when they don't get those jobs, they are not working. But it is when they are into business, they are not working. But it's when they get government work that they are working. Is it a problem of the political language or what? Thank you.
Thank you. I haven't so far come across a country whose leaders, whether elected or appointed or anointed, don't profess to want to create jobs, whether socialist or communist or capitalist. Because job creation is the essence of our living. For 1/3 of the time you spend on earth, you'll be in school. And another 1/3, you'd either be at work or at play. And for the other 1/3, you'll be sleeping. So working is an essential part of every human being's life. So if you are going to be a community leader, or a provincial leader, or a national leader, you have to have ways you think you can create jobs. And not physically creating the job as a government, because we've tried that and it failed, but supporting real entrepreneurs to create more jobs for the citizenry and creating more entrepreneurs. That is why the buzzword is entrepreneurship, ability to create a job outside or from what you have learned. You use your brain, you use your heart, you use your hand to earn a living for you and for your family. So it is not about government saying it. We have been in the country where there was nothing but government jobs. That is what has led to that psyche, that when people say they are going to create jobs, they think it's government job. Because I know that at least since the 1992 Constitution, all the governments that have come have emphasized on private sector creating the jobs, no matter whether the government is Actually, the constitution we operate does not allow a socialist government or a capitalist government or a communist government. It allows us to be all liberal Democrats. That is what the constitution promotes. So this job creation would never be go outside the political space. Every government will want to create jobs, but more create the enabling conditions for those who are specialized or have expertise in creating jobs, create jobs. So if you bring an automobile policy such that the big automobile companies, manufacturing companies, feel that when we take advantage of this policy, we can earn our profits in Ghana. They'll come and create jobs and put up factories here. That is the government bringing up a policy that will allow job creation. When you do planting for food and jobs, you bring a policy where, because the food is going to be in abundance, there has to be agro-industry, and that is job. Food preservation, that is job. Transport and logistics, that is job creation. So government necessarily have to bring policies that will enable the teeming youth have a role to play and earn a keep.
Thank you very much. Oh, yes, please.
Well, I think also that the education should be, there should be orientation of the students to think that they also can be creators. And also, they should be empowered. Our education does not empower us to be self-reliant. It empowers us to be reliant on someone to go and earn a salary. And therefore, when you actually have people in the creative industry who create and have other people depend on them or can earn from them, we don't empower those people. We haven't given them the credibility to say yours also is worth empowering other people. So maybe we should look at the creative industry, those who can, and the creative industry extends into the arts and into, indeed, manufacturing, or even people in Swami Magazine who are able to work metal and create machines and manufacture machines and things like that. We haven't encouraged them enough. We haven't invested in that side of education. We have continuously looked at formal education, the lawyer, the doctor, and not empowered those who are at the bottom of it, in quotes. So maybe our education should start looking at that vocational bit. But in saying so, Honorable Minister, you have said, yes, free SHS is good. But there's a quote I always use, and I won't miss not using it before I leave here. And it's from Vice President Dr. Baumia, and I will change it a little bit, but I want to give him credit for that quote. I say that if your basic education if your fundamental education is weak, your SHS results will expose you. Our fundamentals are weak. Our children cannot read and write by age 12. We are testing them at age 15 and dropping them off. And especially the girls. They drop out at age 15, they are married off, they get pregnant. So yes, free SHS is a fantastic idea. But when you have weeded out about 1 million kids before SHS, then what are they going to do with their lives? They don't even have qualifications to drive. So let's go back and look at the basic education and ensure that it's complete. It's compulsory, it's complete. The schools are furnished in such a way that if somebody actually drops out at BEC for any reason, they can at least read or write, and ensure that everybody enjoys that free SHS. Because at this point, we are still churning out. It's all about access and not about quality. And therefore, we must invest so that those people enjoying the free SHS are not just numbers we are counting, that these are the people we've churned out as free SHS, but these are people who have actually been empowered to start to get into our employment industry, or are employing people as well. Thank you.
Yeah, you can see now the politicians are adding, yeah, but let's listen to Mr. Frimpong, and then the next question.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the questioner was saying that if anybody having graduated does not get a white-collar job, then virtually his education is considered meaningless. I mean, in the theme of education for national survival, we rightly look at what we call intuitive capacity building. It's very, very important. Intuitively, you can see that we have a backlog of people who may have graduated and have, lack this, intuitive capacity. It's even, nobler creating your own job rather than looking for, white-collar job. We have an experience, in terms of preferring to do something on our own rather than going around, knocking at offices and looking for jobs. That is why we are saying that the minister is here, and we want to emphasize this. Civic education, orientation is very, very important. It's all because we have lacked that intuitive capacity building, either by civic education orientation. So we think that when we come out of school, once you don't, put on the tie and be seen running at the front desk of a bank or maybe some other office, then you are not educated. So please, let us look at that. And I think there's a lot of backlog for that. And going forward, we must build up and make sure we turn up. That's why we are saying that education is not a one-station consideration, but it's a continuum, and then back and forth, and then in the middle, we must look at all and streamline them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any more questions? I can see, there are many hands up. Let us move over there. Let us have the three of you, and then we will see how we are going to distribute them. Please, sir, your name and very short, precise question.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Labi. On the issue of civic education or orientation, from my point of view, this shouldn't go to only the student, but rather parents. But right now, if I'm sick and I go to the doctor, any amount that the doctor charge, I'm ready to pay. But let's say if I'm putting up a building and I contract the mason, if the mason come out with his estimates, I will start bargaining with the mason to, reduce the amount that the mason is charging. So in short, what I'm saying is that we give more respect to the white-collar job than skill training. So we need a serious orientation as far as this nation is concerned. Thank you very much.
So no question, only a comment. Thank you very much. Now maybe some questions.
All right. Sorry. My question, I think, could be answered by anybody, but I guess it was prompted by Honorable Dr. Prempeh because of when he talked about leadership. So I heard a lot of discussions about the projects, the programs, the TVET, entrepreneurship, but I didn't hear a lot about the teachers or the educators who in the end are going to be the ones who have to implement all these programs that you all have in mind. So my question is a bit of twofold. So first, in Ghana, or I guess everywhere around the world, education and teaching is not really the most sought after career. I guess most young people would probably choose business or IT because they get more financial reward in that. So what are we doing to make education or teaching a more sought after career for not only for those people who don't pass to go or get accepted in IT or surgery or medicine, but the knowledgeable, skilled, smart people also get to will choose education or teaching because they are passionate about it, but also it's a rewarding career later on. And then second, how are we empowering them to implement all of these wonderful programs? Because in the end, these are all good ideas, but are the teachers in Ghana prepared to do all of these projects and programs? Do we have sufficient teacher education program for this?
Thank you. In my welcome address, I alluded to that. And just talking here, I said that the first thing you have to do is to understand that there's a teacher at the center of your educational and skill training. And that is what we've tried to achieve. So there are 5 things in education this government is doing. Basic education. The single largest investment in basic education since independence is the $218 million that Ghana has been able to attract for its development partners, money virtually for free, to improve over 10,000 schools in the country, emphasizing on school leadership, school accountability, teaching and learning materials, and everything. We also did reform the teacher curriculum to suit the 21st century, so that by the time the teacher gets out of the school and starts teaching, he or she is empowered, enabled to be able to teach the new curriculum that we have brought in place. The second thing is that in this country, the teacher with the least qualification was teaching the most impressionable age group. Between the age of 6 and 9, or 4 and 10, you have already made up your mind. If you have been poorly taught, you will get a poor outcome. And what have we done? The teachers were being taught by diploma holders, unlike everywhere else. Now we have improved the teacher education such that teachers won't come out with diploma, they'll come out with graduate degrees. That in itself is a huge improvement about the faculty and knowledge and skills of the teachers coming to teach. And what we observed was that those teachers who were coming out with diploma, they would spend a lot of time topping up to bachelor's degree. Now, you don't have to because you come out with a degree. And those who even did a diploma, instead of spending 3 years in topping up, we have come up with a new program that we use only 1 year in topping up. That has a lot of things. It empowers the teacher, it enables the teacher, it skills the teacher more, and also where you start off from the scale of remuneration is about 3 or 4 points higher than a diploma student. So you need to teach, you need to attract a teacher who is willing to teach. Those who go into the law school are willing to become lawyers, and most of them end up being lawyers. Those who go into the medical school, most of them end up being doctors. We want the same thing that those who go into the teaching profession, most of them end up being teachers. Because we found out that we employ 10,000s of teachers every year, and by the end of the year, probably a double of that number has left because they didn't want to be teachers in the first place. So there's a lot of reform going on to ensure that we have the right teacher at the right place, teaching the children to get the skills that we need as a result of what we are doing. Thank you.
No, I think the remarks by the Honorable Minister are very important. I certainly, as the son of 2 teachers or 2 professors, understand the importance of that area. And that's why, once again, as he referred to in terms of leadership, in terms of politics and ideas, it is about what you are committing yourself to. If you look at a country, I think like Singapore, they commit a huge amount of their budget, I believe getting to 20%, to this particular sector of education. Obviously, we are all at different levels of our capacity to allocate these scarce resources. But it is a leadership which will fight to find that money in ways that he has also described, in obviously ways whereby we look at our own internally generated resources that can commit it to the area with specific direction to be able to achieve the results that we're after. Whether those results are in skills, whether those results are in entrepreneurship, or whether in terms of the teachers, how much more are we willing to pay them for them to understand how much the state respects their public service and sacrifice that they are making either in the urban areas or in the rural areas. Before even this program started, myself and my brother, we were talking about how, when it comes to hospital environments, we understand and know the importance, more than even doctors, of nurses, of what they do for the patients. And it's a similar kind of role that teachers play whether at the formative years or whether at later years in terms of skill training, because they are controlling the output of these, our youngsters, and all the issues that we all want to solve as a nation in terms of reading, writing levels, skill levels, creativity levels, punctuality levels, habit levels, which are all things that are important for skills in the marketplace. So I think it's a work in progress. We'll all continue to contribute to it. But from our perspective, it needs to really be led by the state in collaboration, similar to the German way with the private sector, to achieve the results that we want to achieve.
Thank you very much. Let us finish with two last comments, and then we have to come to an end, small.
So, with the PPP, what we believe in, and it's not very different from what Iva is saying, pay them well, but it's not always about the money that they are given in their hands. If I pay a teacher well, and they end up, for sake of argument, in my hometown, where there's a secondary school which has actually churned out people to come and study mathematics in the University of Ghana, but the teacher has nowhere to live. And this happens all the time. They are posted somewhere, the conditions are not congenial. How then are they able to deliver what is expected of them? So let's ensure and let's invest in the teacher. Make sure they are comfortable. We believe that the schools must come complete with teacher bungalows. It could be a one-bedroom, whatever, but they are made comfortable to be able to enjoy doing what they do. Because teachers, indeed, they say, is a calling, but we have continuously baited people with money without them wanting to do what they want to. And indeed, when they do get that money at the training level, they don't want to continue to be teachers. And they must be encouraged or motivated some more, knowing that if I'm posted to Tumu, there's a school that has accommodation for me. And indeed, even look at investing in their transportation, for example. The teacher needs to get to school early. How can we empower them in ways that they may be able to, it could be a small car or a loan facility for teachers who can afford cars to get to school. It is not far-fetched, it is possible. We must invest in the teachers because we are continuously realizing that they are the ones who are churning out our human resource. One thing we haven't spoken about, and I don't know if you're going to add that, but before I go away from the teachers, let's say this, that it's equal responsibility, government, teacher, parent, no doubt. The parent is the first teacher anyway. Governments must make the facilities available, the schools and the classrooms and all that. The teachers must be committed and they must be assessed. I think that a lot of teachers, we've seen all these WhatsApp videos and it's a teacher and you're cringing asking, is this the person teaching? Because I think a lot of teachers have been left to their own devices without adequate assessment. They must be assessed and passed continuously. And then, of course, the parents' involvement, a lot of the time, and if we are enforcing the compulsory education, the parent is also held responsible to know that your child must be in school and not on the farm with you because it's not time for that to happen. And this will ensure that we have the education that we want. I don't know if you're going to go on to digital education yet, or if I may. Not today. So let me say that COVID has brought us to a point where we all know that digital education, we can't go past it. I have the feeling that we are sitting back and waiting, and we keep saying post-COVID. Post-COVID is now. I think that we have the resources, government has the resources to ensure that digital education, and not only the TV programs, is reaching the ends of Ghana everywhere. I think there's a fund called the GIFEC Fund, which I believe, has enough funding to be able to put masks and make digital education accessible to most Ghanaian children. But we still have, because of COVID, we still have a lot of our children walking around. The whole year is going to go by, and we will be back we will retrogress a year and more because we haven't caught on to the digital education yet, and we must start now.
The last comment, and then unfortunately we have to come to an end. Yes, I see the hands. The politicians are still there. Yeah, try to benefit from that, but we have to come to an end.
Yeah, thank you very much. NDP looks at the problems with razor precision. I'm saying so because as for the reward packages, I think we hear the MPP had done a lot and continues to do the same. Of course, it's the reward packages must be graduated and be specific. For instance, after all those ones, you also look at what you call the rural allowance. There are others who must also go to the rural area. As a matter of fact, there's a maxim which is leadership and organization determine it all. Leadership and organization determine it all. The greater factor that is not found in the equation are the role of the communities. And for us, it's so basic. You know, we sound this over and over. The communities seem not to be part of the gameplay. You know, and we are saying so because if you look at a community area as small as the electoral area, most of the time the teachers just go around, but they must effectively be factors in monitoring. You know, having showered all the reward packages on teachers, of course, what is the output? You want to know. So these ones, probably the community must be oriented to understand. And you need certain administrative unit, you know, like a COB, just like, some desk, a bureau within the community itself. Unfortunately, in local governance, which is a bigger interface between the executive and the citizenry, they virtually get stillborn on election. You know, so, you know, the assemblyman and the unit committee that must be playing maybe some kind of monitoring role, they are not doing it. And I think it is time that the ministry tried somehow, you know, to involve the community as much as possible. It's not even at the assembly level, because the assembly level is even far removed from the community than the executive. You know, the assemblies are just far away. It is, Jubilee House is nearer every community than the assemblies. So that is how we have to look at it, so that they come in within the factor of monitoring. If that is done, because whatever you do, whether digital or non-digital, you have human beings who will be involved, and that is very, very important. So reward packages, and you know, at the same time, I think the minister, as he has mentioned, there is a continuous teacher development schemes. These are probably the data that we're looking at, and the two, we want to see the teacher-student ratio. You know, he says there's a lot of, is it turnout? Teacher turnout. You know, but yes, you may give that, and if it's not effectively monitored, the end will be zero. Thank you very much.
Yeah, lady, gentlemen, thank you very much for the time, as well for some first information about your ideas in regard to education. What I have seen and noticed, I think education is very important for Germany, by the way, as well. We don't have that many natural resources as Ghana has, and this has forced us in the last centuries always to put a lot of effort into that. I think we all know education is not a one-stop shop, but we have to continuously work on that, and we will never come to an end. It will never be perfect. We have to do something for the future generations. Thank you so much. I have to compliment you because it was really nice to spend the time with you. You could even be a little bit more spicy next time, yeah, but I'm happy that I was still able to manage it. I wish you all the best for the next 5, 6, 7 weeks up to the 7th of December. For the minister, I think he has heard a lot of nice inputs and ideas to take into his ministry, and then next year we will see who is going to manage the Ministry of Education, if it is the same face or somebody different. This is up to the 7th of December election. I hope that we will spend a peaceful time, but with so nice candidates and politicians, I think Ghana will move forward in a good mood. Thank you very much. I think the media people are still here. They might have some questions there as well, other participants. And thank you once again for coming and joining us. Thank you. A warm applause, please.